Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com. Today, we are going to review the 6 best digital hubs here in Venezuela for 2023. Before we start, I have to mention, of course, the internet access here in Venezuela, how good it is. And I'm gonna mention for all the cities, all the hubs that I'm gonna mention a little bit further, is that in Venezuela, of course, the internet access is not the best. However, there is a lot of small companies, internet providing companies, that provide high-speed internet between, let's say, 20 MBs and 50 MBs per second. And those companies are operating in all the cities that I'm gonna be mentioning on this video. So keep that in mind. Of course, not every property that you might rent is gonna have it. So check that out first before you lease a property in order to, establish a digital nomad hub on any given Venezuelan city. So keep that in mind. So right now, let's start. Number 6, we have Merida. Merida, beautiful city on the mountains with a very pleasant weather. It's a little bit chilly, one of the coldest cities in Venezuela, as already mentioned. And it's a very touristic city here in Venezuela. So it has a bunch of amenities, very peaceful, it's very quiet, but at the same time has a bunch of amenities, a lot of young people, since it's a student city here in Venezuela. Beautiful city indeed. And right now we're going to review the pros of establishing your Merida as a digital nomad hub. So the pros are: the cost of living is great, one of the best for any metropolitan city in Venezuela. The weather is very pleasant if you don't like hot weather. Also, a ton of amenities, since Merida is a big touristic hub here in Venezuela. The people is very nice, probably the nicest people in Venezuela. You're gonna find it on Merida, and also is one of the safest cities here in Venezuela. Now, let's go with the cons. Logistics are a little bit complicated. In Merida, it's on the western side of the country, and first reaching to the city of Merida. Remember, there is the city of Merida and the state of Merida. So in order to reach Merida, the city, you have to take a plane trip to El Vigía. It is an hour drive from the city of Merida itself. Now, however, I have to mention that the airport that is on the city of Merida is starting to get some operations. So most likely on the next few months, you're gonna get direct flights to Caracas, to the airport of the city of Merida. But regarding that, the logistics are not great in order if you want to move to the rest of the country. The other cons is that it's a little bit boring after a while if you spend too much over there. I mean, that's up to you. It has great landscapes, so if you love just being surrounded of great landscapes, Merida probably has the best landscapes on the country. The other cons is away from the beach, so if you love the beach, probably Merida is not for you. And that is a little bit small, has this small town vibe. Regardless that Merida is a city by itself, but still has this small town vibe. So if that's not your thing, maybe Merida is not for you. But Merida, beautiful place here, one of the most beautiful places in Venezuela. Number 5, we have Valencia. Valencia is on the western side of the country. It's one of the most developed cities here in Venezuela, and actually you might say it's a smaller version of Caracas. The pros of Valencia as a digital nomad hub is that it has a bunch of amenities, like Caracas, I will say, not completely like Caracas, but still has a ton of amenities. The other thing is it has a high level of English, so probably in Valencia has probably one of the most educated populations on the entire country. So it has one of the highest levels of English speaking people here in Venezuela. Also, you have to mention that the cost of living is on the mid range. It's not either very cheap or very crazy expensive for Venezuelan standards, of course. The logistics are great because you are on the western side of the country. You are just a couple hours drive from Caracas, capital, and also has an international airport. So if you're coming from certain cities, you might get a direct flight to Valencia. And also the dating, this is great because Valencia has some of the most beautiful women here in Venezuela. So if you come here for dating, maybe Valencia is for you. Now the cons of Valencia as a digital nomad hub is that people is kind of a snobby people, you know, not the nicest people here. I mean, still when you get to know them, they're kind of nice, still a little bit snobby, a little bit of preppy and such. And also you have to after a while it might get a little bit boring. Number 4, we have Caracas. And Caracas, of course, as you might know, is the capital of Venezuela, the largest city, the most important city, and is very well located on the north center of the country. However, why is so low? I'm going to explain that a little bit later. The pros for Caracas as a digital nomad hub is the logistics are excellent because you are a half-an-hour drive from the main airport of the entire country on Lecheria, so you get a bunch of international flights. Also has any amenity that you might need and you might want, and since it's a big city and also has a lot of wealthy people, so you have any restaurant, any grocery item that you might need, or any activity that you're looking for, you're gonna find it on Caracas. Also, you have great level of English speaking Venezuelans. Also, the dating can be one of the best, since that Caracas attracts probably the most beautiful women on the country. And also I have to mention that Caracas is very safe if you stay on the right neighborhood. Now the cons for Caracas as a digital nomad hub are, first, it's very expensive for Venezuelan standards, and actually I would say for Latin American standards, Caracas is quite pricey, although this is because if you're coming from abroad, you want to stay on a good neighborhood. That's the other thing. If you stay on a great neighborhood in Caracas, you're gonna be safe, you're gonna be surrounded by the amenities that you might need, although you have to pay a premium for that. And since you have this limitation, Caracas is just number 4 and not way up. And of course, remember, number 3, I have to mention my hometown, Lecheria. And Lecheria, for me, is the best city here in Venezuela. But why is not number 1, or I'm not giving it the number 1 spot for the best digital nomad hub? Well, I'm gonna explain. First, let's go for the pros. The pros for Lecheria as a digital nomad hub are the beaches. You are surrounded by beaches and any water and oceanic related activity. You have a bunch of islands, you have a bunch of beaches, canals. So for beach and navigation, it's probably the best city here in Venezuela and one of the best on Latin America. Number 2, and is safety. The city of Lecheria is the safest city in Venezuela, but by far you have one murder case every couple of years and so if you're looking just for the sheer fact of a safe city in Latin America and of course in Venezuela, Lecheria has you covered. You're gonna be very quiet here, so not gonna be any issue regarding safety. Also, many amenities, not as much as Caracas or Valencia, but still has plenty of amenities. And the number 4 that I love is the beautiful properties that you might get here. Beachfront properties or very beautiful properties, so you can get a nice leasing here in Venezuela on the city for a very reasonable price. Not dirt cheap, but reasonable price. Now let's go with the cons. Lecheria can be expensive for Venezuelan standards. Also, the English level is not as great here in Lecheria. Also, the weather here is hot. I mean, it's not crazy hot, not like Dubai hot. It still is on a sea level. Don't expect 4 seasons here in Lecheria. So if you don't like warmer weather, might not be for you. And also, I have to mention that the people are kind of snobby. They're cool when you get to know them, still a little bit snobby. So if you don't like that, that's a deal breaker for you. That's why. Still, Lecheria a solid option as a digital nomad hub here in Venezuela. Number 2 is the city of Maracay. And this is kind of the dark horse here on this list. And I put it number 2 and for a very specific reason. So let's start with the pros for Maracay as a digital nomad hub, the garden city of Venezuela. And the very first, you have to mention logistics. Maracay has probably the best logistics in the country. Here's why. Maracay is on the dead center on the entire country. It's on the north center side. It's just an hour drive from Caracas and also an hour drive, a little bit more, to the main airport here in Venezuela on Maiquetía, that is of course close to Caracas. So we are an hour drive for getting basically flight to any part of the world. So good point of that. But also Maracay is just an hour drive or less for many other amenities, like the beaches on Choroní, like the beaches on Bahía de Cata. Also a couple of places here in Venezuela very popular, like La Colonia Tovar or La Victoria. Also is very close to Valencia, and also it's just a couple hours drive to places like Tucacas, Falcón, also to Puerto Cabello, also like I mentioned earlier to Caracas, to many cities. So Maracay has a great location on the country, and just for that sheer fact can work for you. But also has a lot of amenities, not as much as both Caracas or Valencia, but still pretty decent on that regard. And also you have to add it has a very decent cost of living, since it's not as high city as much as Caracas or Valencia, so you can get very good deals if you know what you're doing on Maracay. And also you have to add that the dating scene is probably the best on the country. Not also you have beautiful women here, but as well you're gonna get very cool people to hang out with. Now the cons of Maracay is that it's not as safe. I'm not saying it's totally dangerous, because if you stay on a decent area or on a nice area and you pay a small premium for that, you're gonna be totally fine. But still you have to keep that in mind. So you're gonna need to be a little bit more street savvy on Maracay than the rest of the locations on this list. And also that the English level is not as great. Still, has a lot to offer as a digital nomad hub here in Venezuela. And the best digital nomad hub destination for 2023 here in Venezuela is, of course, Margarita Island. And the reasons are a lot, still very simple. So with the pros that Port has a lot of amenities, Margarita is the main touristic hub here in the country, not only for internationals, for domestics as well. It's probably the most visited city here in Venezuela, just after Caracas, and most of the visitors in Caracas are for business reasons. The logistics are still great because you have direct flights all the time to Caracas, the main airport here, but also to many other major cities on the country. And also you have a couple of international flights as well. And also you have to mention that there are ferries going to Margarita Island from the mainland, and that includes most likely Puerto La Cruz, Cumaná, and also from the capital region. The cost of living in Margarita is pretty reasonable. It's not dirt cheap. It still has great cost of living. So you get the best ROI regarding cost of living on Margarita Island. Also has a great infrastructure, since that Margarita is the main destination hub on the country, and also has a pretty decent English level among the Margarita citizens. And that's because the Margarita Island economy is catered towards visitors, tourists, and lately to international business. Now, the cons on Margarita Island as a digital nomad hub are first the weather, and that is most likely if you don't like the warm weather. It's not crazy hot, it's still hot if you come from a four seasons country. And the second thing is you need to be a little bit street savvy, because you have these inconveniences that you get on a touristic destination. And if you are a seasonal travel, you know what I'm referring to. Still, just with this couple of caveats, Margarita by 2023 is the best digital nomad destination hub here in Venezuela. Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again, and have a nice day.